Hi there. It's Built Prefab here for our webinar number 2, which is us showing you all about how we design our homes and how that process would work if you work with us. Today, you got myself, James Rosowski, CEO, Ian Garrity, our president, and then Keely, head of customer care and marketing. She's here. And this is our second webinar. We thought the first one was pretty fun, especially when people engaged and asked questions using the Q&A deal. And just simply because there are too many people on here, we can't actually have you talk. But if you do Q&A, we'll do our best to respond to your questions. And as we go along, I'm pretty sure you're going to have a few, and we encourage it. We were preparing for this today, and it occurs to me that there's a lot of ground to cover, and we're going to do our best, but it's like half an hour. And so, I mean, there is a lot of work that goes into designing one of these homes, and some of it a lot of it is based on prior experience. So what we're going to try and do is take you from sort of step one right through to the end. But, we may skip some points, and it might go quickly. This will be recorded. Another thing is that you can also at any time email us at info@builtprefab and set up a call if you want to discuss anything that we talked about or talk about your design, whatever have you. So I've got this presentation here, and just to start off, to understand, we do 3 sort of levels of design. One is where you take something that's straight off of our website, and you're like, yeah, I want one of those. We would just call that a standard design. The next level is where somebody says, like, I like what's there and I want to use it, but I'd like to modify it to do, different windows, or I want some minor modifications. And then, of course, there's level 3, which is like full custom, where we're still building within the modular, constraints that we have, but doing designs that are sort of, next level. And those, I guess, the further you go down the custom road, the more work there is. Additionally, the fees increase, and so does sort of the certainty of how long this is going to take, even when it comes to construction. So like the easiest are the ones straight off the site. Pretty easy is semi-custom. Maybe it's the same as custom, but once you get into custom, there's a lot of different things that have to be considered. And most of the time when that happens, it seems like we've got more site elements than normal. So once that you shift that work out to the site, it slows things down a bit. Most of our projects are semi-custom. The standard designs and materials allow things to be more predictable. And the more custom it becomes, the less predictable it can be. Not that it's the end of the world, it's just less predictable. So as you're going to see, every home that we build, we model it completely in 3D. So it's done with a software called SketchUp. And essentially, there's a copy of your house that's made in 3D before we ever build it. And that way we can sort of take you through it, apply finishes. You get a sense of what it really looks like. We can even do things like sun and shade studies by actually putting it in its geographic location in the orientation that it's going to have. And, I could show you on January 2nd what the sun would be doing utilizing our software. And so to get going with any design, it actually starts with you going on our website and utilizing our build and price tool. So the build and price is right at the beginning. And essentially this gives you, some limited options to try and get a sense of what's in our houses, the floor plans, all of the various finishes. And so, anyone that does a design with us, that's the first thing we need is this build and price. The second thing we need is all the information you have about your property. And we've got an entire sort of property survey questionnaire that we send out, and that needs to get done. And once we've got those 2 sorts of pieces of information, we're going to just compile. Now we got our general parameters. We've got your build and price. and what we're going to start doing is, preliminary site planning, reviewing that zoning, trying to figure out where it fits, roads, electrical, all of that. And that's sort of like part one of that design. And I think it kind of overlaps with what we were discussing last time with respect to purchasing land. And I mean, I'm sure that the reason why you're here is to see the actual action. So we won't focus too much on that. But I mean, some of the big items that will affect the design will be, site planning, your concept, and then even building envelope and performance. So just a word about that, typically, I would say like basically any house we're going to build will meet step 3 just as is. If you're in BC, so building code step energy program. If you aren't, as a municipality or somewhere that requires more energy efficiency, we'll do step 5 homes, no problem. It's just that it requires some differences to the way we actually sort of design the guts of the building envelope, and it takes a little bit of extra planning. We have to have an energy advisor involved, and it's not a big deal, but it's something that we consider because it changes the room sizes by like an inch, and that can actually add up in the end. So say we've said we're going to use today an example of a sunsetter. All right. And so actually that's right behind Keely, the one that we're going to use as our example. So imagine this customer had said like, well, like I like your sunsetter and I want to, build this home. We just basically start with the floor plan, and it's fairly easy, obviously, in the model for us to change where the walls are and things like that. There's ripple effects down the way, but it really does just start with us going over your floor plan and modifying it. So if you're like, oh man, I just love to have that, bedroom smaller, and I'd love to have that, the area with the bathroom larger, we can easily make all of that happen. And I guess the whole idea of this is to sort of say, like, if you had a napkin sketch of some ideas, we can even start with that in some cases. And I mean, we'll just go into the software and modify. And I won't go too far into that, but like it's not that hard to change at this stage. But then once you start getting into engineering, doing shop drawings for the floor plans to be built in the factory, that can be, these little details matter, right? Because everything needs to fit. So, this customer, we did tweak our sunsetter slightly, and we'll get into adding all the closets, and we can do things like have built-in closets or just the standard ones that are shown here. We set up all of our doors and how they're going to operate. Like for instance, through a pocket door on here, we have swing doors on the rest. But in this process, if you're like, oh, I would just rather have a pocket door here or whatever, we can do all of that. And then of course, like once the floor plan's roughed out, we're moving into things like the floor plan with millwork. And I mean, so now you're seeing we've got a laundry room in here, and you've got a kitchen and the 2 baths. And I've highlighted this kitchen, but like we will literally model your entire kitchen in 3D, well, the entire house. But like as an example, I think I've got this sort of here. That kitchen that ended up getting built in that house is literally what you're seeing in this photo. So yeah, like this is the kitchen that got built. And if we go back to this model, it was here first, so we're modeling it with the exact appliances, all the right cabinet sizes, so that you have a really decent understanding of like, is this the way I want it configured? And same goes for the bathrooms and the laundry and everything. This model that I'm showing you here is exactly the same dimensions as the house that got built. So in this case, it's 14.6 by whatever it was, 45. And so, yeah, I guess as we move along, we'd be looking at our process guide. the room configurations are important. And so, this is a fairly straightforward house that we're showing you here, but nonetheless, we will model all the furniture in the home. So if you even had particular furniture that you wanted, we're going to put it in there so you get a sense of how much room there is. And I guess so that's a floor plan now that, that obviously went 2 minutes, but it takes some time to work through with the customer, because again, we're working through not only all of those locations, but doing all the windows, all the doors, everything. So I guess if I showed you something like this, we're going to cut this view off. I'm going to even actually go inside, and I can put the roof back on in a millisecond, but this is helpful. So again, you as a homeowner, we've modeled the entire house, including the lighting, including all your windows and doors as they're going to be. And even with this pretty basic software, you get a decent sense of, what this house is going to be like if you did live in it. And I guess, to me, even till today, I just find it crazy that you can just make it on a computer, and then, that through effort and everything, you can build the exact same house. So we think that it has a lot of value, I think, for you as a customer, because, it's a lot different than just seeing those 2D plans on a piece of paper than when you're actually seeing it here in a 3D model. So, like this is the house from the outside. And essentially it was built the same way. The garage was built on site, and it was built sort of slightly different than this. But if you were to look at the photos, I mean, that's the house. The customer at the end of the day didn't end up building that deck that you see there, but the house itself was pretty much identical to what we're seeing here. Now, if I go back to this presentation, once we've got the room configurations done, baths, kitchens, closets, fireplaces, entry doors, interior doors, the next thing we're going to move to is building elevations, including windows and doors. And I mean, I think this is a thing that a lot of people will modify in a design is windows and doors. Like, oh, I'd like to have a bigger window here, or move the door over here. And then, of course, the building elevations, the finishes, even in this case, the homeowner went with something where it was a combination of corrugated metal, and then we used a hardy. And, that's just like we showed in the plan. But again, these are choices you can make while you're doing your design with us. And, we just work through it together. If you move into the next area, we're going to work on exterior accessories like decks, porches, siding. We're doing your electrical plan. And this is all still while we're working with you in this 3D model. So the way we like to work is in 3D as long as possible, because eventually we have to take that, and then it has to become 2D. Because when you submit for permit, or when you have to send it to the engineer, everybody wants a 2D plan, just like in the old days. But when we're working with you, it's just way easier to be like, okay, well, we're going to work in 3D as long as we can get, with this, and we're going to try and model this house as close to reality as possible. And then that way, we're all on the same page before this thing goes from here to a piece of paper. And I think to some degree, that's actually the opposite of, what a lot of people do with design, because I've seen you get these home floor plans, and they're just like a piece of paper, and you try to visualize like, what is that house like? But so once we've kind of got your model all the way to where you want it, the next thing we're going to do is take it to this 2D view, which is essentially what we utilize in order to transpose it to actual plans. I think I have a set of plans here ready to go. Yeah, so I brought these plans up, and all of the information that goes into this piece of paper that gets printed off on a 24 by 36 came out of the 3D model. So, you know, it's not as if like somebody's recreating something. Uh, but what we're showing here is basically what ends up becoming the permit and production plans. So again, we're taking that 3D model, placing it right on the site. You know, we've drawn the crawl space. There's your drawings. We've, you know, measured all the door openings and the widths and everything, roof slopes, siding elevations, and, you know, all your millwork. All the views here you're seeing are all coming out of that last model. Baseboard and casing, all the lighting fixture heights, all the details as to how things will be done, flashing. So again, I don't, I mean, it's too much to go into all of this, but it's just sort of to demonstrate like the level of deep detail that we get at with your plans, because you know, we want to make sure that all the details are organized ahead of time, so that when we go to build it, it's more of an execution thing as opposed to a figuring out thing, which is, you know, the traditional site construction method. You know, we got our sections. We even do module like drawings of the boxes. This would be given to the trucking company to say like, this is how big the box is that has to go down the highway. You know, details of the insulation and how the building envelope is going to work. You know, more of that. You know, we've got our energy calculations. We keep track of changes. So like what you're seeing here is basically production slash permit drawings that we would send to the municipality. And then of course, beyond that, you know, we have to take these plans and, you know, we typically have to work with other, you know, third parties on your plan preparation. So we can't just submit your permit plans and be like, that's good. Most municipalities are going to want us to submit engineered drawings along with, you know, possibly geotechnical information, mechanical, you name it. So again, I'm skipping over a million things here in a really quick amount of time. But for instance, I have pulled up this engineer drawings from this this actual house. So again, we've done our architectural drawings. It's all the way you want it. We send it to the engineer. Now he's done foundation drawings, you know, crawl space layout, the floor plan, the garage, and he's got all of his structural details, and that would also get submitted. So it's literally like you come from that 3D model, and there's just this flow of information that comes from it. But at least, you know, we feel comfortable because we know we're all on the same page about what's going to be built. Like we work together to build the model. Once that's been sort of approved by all of us, off this goes into the hands of everybody else that we're going to be working with on the project. The next thing, I suppose, if we go through our little checklist here is, you know, once we've done, so say you did a design agreement with us, this is a process that we're going to do. And at the end of it, what you're going to have is a set of building plans, and then you're going to have a very detailed spec sheet. I didn't get one ready, but I could probably grab one. It's about, you know, typically 200 lines of information where it specifies every single thing that is going to be in your home. And that would include everything from the framing to the insulation to which lights are going to be in there. Just on and on it goes. And I guess that spec sheet, I'll just show you one for that project specifically. It's long, but it's detailed. And we also, you know, provide links to everything so you can find it, you know, your panel size, the size of the doors, you know, all the fixtures and faucets. There's links to all of that, the manuals. And so we kind of do this for two reasons. You know, you got your smoke detector, your appliances, all of this. The beauty is the spec sheet's made at the beginning, and we utilize it in conjunction with your drawings to, you know, build the home. But at the end of the project, you're going to get this document, you know, and you'll have access to it forever. So if you need to, you know, replace a light or something, or you don't know what something is, or need a manual, it's here, and we basically have given it to you from day one. So that's the, you know, building plan, spec sheet, We do a little bit of a finishing guide, which is essentially some visuals of, which millwork did you choose, which floor, those types of items, tile and so forth. And then the final thing we're going to deliver in a design is actually how much we think it will cost to build your house. And I think that's the most important thing to some degree, I guess, like, because you go on our building price and it's very general in the sense that, we don't know anything about your lot until we've done the work. We don't know exactly how you're going to finish your home until we've done the work. And so all of these things, can have ripple effects on cost. And then also, we have to sort of determine what type of site work needs to be done. So the way we do it, and I think it's shown here, is essentially when we do these estimates as well, we're going to work towards a place where the modules are a fixed price. Like, we'll set a price and that's what you're going to pay for them. But on the site work side, we're able to, provide I guess what we would call a class B estimate, where essentially based on previous projects, our estimation of site work is X. And then until we have the, quotes from all the trades, that's what we're working with. And then after quotation, it would be class A. So again, the modules are fixed. The site work is cost plus, but we do have a really decent understanding of how much it should cost. And then, so that's sort of like part one of designing the house. We went from like nothing through all the parts. We talked about the deliverables that we give you. And then, what we do is we set up another one of those tables, like I just showed you, in the program we use called Smartsheet, where we include all of the documentation from you and us. So it's all your agreements, financial information, timelines, technical information, permitting and approval. We keep all of that, basically on a cloud-based system. And that way it's easy to share with you the trades, the permitting authority, all of that. So, and I know it's not necessarily the same thing as like the 3D design, but literally it is design. It's just, it's what's flowing out of the project that you designed. So I guess, normally we can get started on a design with a simple site plan. The approving authority will list like all the professionals and the various information they need. And we coordinate all of that. Everybody from structural engineer, geotech, mechanical, energy advisor, envelope engineer if they're needed. What else have we had to have, Ian? Anyhow, there's many, but we can handle that for you. So I don't know. The only thing else I thought that would be of value is like, that's our process. I thought it was like a pretty decent thing maybe to show a couple of the homes where, on our site, we've got, just so you can see it, like we did 3 of these out in Montana, and I mean, there's the house. Like, it's literally, the owner had a unique design and this was more of a custom project. But at the same time, it's this is his house. And so we spent the time together to do this. Now, one of the things you might notice is that pretty much in all the drawings, the millwork, countertops and everything are gray and white. And that's just sort of for ease. Like, we actually utilize a separate software to apply materials. And it's called a rendering software, where that's a design software. So essentially, we'll take the model right out of there and then apply it here. And, we're able to modify the design. Like, so if you want pewter siding with, a gray wood, I can apply that and bang, we're able to render that instantaneously. Same thing on the interior. We can change the floor coloring, change, whatever it is you want to do. But as you can see, it's sort of like a next level here that we're looking at the home. And, again, it's another software you can literally walk around in the house, which to me, again, I believe has a super high value. So, yeah. And we're doing this with every house that we work on. So that's some of the benefit you'll get. You can go into your bedroom and look around, and that's what it's going to look like. So back to this photo, we were looking at his project, and there was the kitchen. So, you know, same thing. You come into this, and that was the house we built with the kitchen. And as you can see, like literally the same appliances, we put them in, and it's, you know, that's how we do it. I think I have another one, which was maybe, I didn't bring up the black house, but that's a cool unit as well. I did, let's see here. This home, which we recently finished, I've got it. So that is here. And again, these are just a couple to demonstrate, you know, how these look. And same thing, we did the entire model, and you can go inside and the whole deal. And I guess the point is that we're going to take that time up front to model these homes, and then make sure that you're getting, you know, what it is you're looking for. And every piece of these units have been modeled in advance. I guess, Ian, would you have anything to add here?
Yeah, so we're starting to get our first question. I was going to say, please definitely throw some questions in there, and we'll answer them in a moment here. James did a great job of describing all that. I guess what I would add is that all of the tools that we just went through are specifically sort of collected to service a geographically distributed client base. We're modular. We don't just build in the Okanagan. We build all over the place. And so all of these tools and the accompanying process is to facilitate working at distance, right? So the rendering software is certainly very useful. They're going to be rendered with your specific selections. And we think that, like, as what you see on the screen there, although that's not a rendering, but you get the idea. But all of these tools in the process is designed so that if you're in California or Alberta or BC or Montana or wherever, it's all going to follow the same process. And that allows us to standardize certain things and deliver on, you know, what we say we're going to deliver on. So I think that there's a lot of value in that, as James said. And yeah, we've had a lot of success after 10 years of sort of refining the process, I guess, and the tools that we use to do that.
Yeah, exactly. It's all meant so that we don't, you know, need to have a face-to-face meeting. We can do it over the computer, have Zoom calls and so forth. And I mean, our first question is from Diana, which is, can you do two-story houses? And yes, the answer is yes. You know, this one specifically that's on the screen, that this was in fact 3 stories. So this foundation was site built, and then these 2 boxes here were installed, you know, or they were both modular. So, you know, it's a very unique design, this one, but definitely. Someone else, oh, this is great. Now we're getting loaded with questions. Would I need special software to view these drawings on my computer? So in fact, there is a free version of this program that we can, you know, you can put it on your computer, or there's actually, it's cloud-based, and you can load the model in if you want to take a look on your own, like on your own time, you want to look at it, no problem. So it's called SketchUp. There's a SketchUp free. And so, yeah. So there's that. And someone has asked, you know, yeah, your finishes are online, and it's a bit daunting where, you know, yeah, you're trying to choose from things that aren't, you're not seeing in person, like as far as flooring and tile and so forth. And I get that. And, you know, typically we try to make sure it looks as, you know, accurate as it does, but in certain cases, if it's very uncomfortable for the customer, we have put together like palette selections, or you know, sent them to a you know, a supplier where they had those materials in person. And again, you're always, you know, regardless of seeing it in person, you still are sort of taking a risk in that you're looking at one piece of flooring, you know, which is, you're not sure how old it is versus the piece that will go in the house. So there's always a bit of that happens. But I mean, it is something we've dealt with before. And, you know,
right, just to interject a minute, James. So that's totally correct. We use really nice standard options and upgrade options, but they're not coming from abroad necessarily. So we try and pick the nicest possible options per the build-in price that are sort of available. So if you're near a metro area, we could often refer you to a location where you might be able to go see these things in person, tile, flooring, etc.
Yeah. This is a series of questions that they kind of go from all over the place, but can the modules be bolted to a foundation wall in preparation for an earthquake? Well, in fact, yes, we build in seismic zones all the time. So first off, when we get engineering done, they're going to specify, you know, exactly what you need. And I suppose without getting too deep into it, every house we build gets engineered specifically for the site where it's going. If you've got an earthquake zone or whatever, and I'm going to just pull one up quick here, you know, the engineer will specify all of that into your drawing. So
The next bit is about snow load also, James, while you pull that up. We've done
right.
some very high snow load areas, including the top of a ski resort recently where the snow load was literally off the chart. So you go to the top engineering, maximum engineering snow load, and extrapolate beyond that where it's projected to be. So we've literally gone off the chart. So like James said, every home is engineered for the location where the home is going to be. And that includes structural, it includes snow load, seismic, wind, etc.
Right, right. And I'm trying to, oh yeah. So, I mean, this is pretty rudimentary, but like, as you can see, this is a home that was designed for a seismic zone. There are actually straps that are embedded in the concrete that run up the face of the building. So you can see those there. And we've done several buildings like this. We have ways to do it. And again, this foundation is a concrete foundation. The engineer specifies basically everything that we need to do. As far as, yeah, snow load, again, the roof structure is engineered for your local jurisdiction. And we did top of a mountain. It was off the charts. Can the floor support the weight of a 7-foot grand piano? Absolutely. It is the way we build every floor is actually probably a little bit overboard, but we feel like, I mean, you walk on it every day, so it better be great. So that's a TGI rim joist with our TGIs in between, and then we do 3/4 inch sheathing, like it's super solid. Is there a gutter system? Yeah, so it just depends on the home, what it is you're trying to achieve. But yes, typically there's a gutter. Like for instance, we could see, oh, the gutters haven't been installed. Maybe when I took these photos. Or no, they're there. So you can barely see it. It's just on the edge of the roof there. But the point is, and in fact, this gutter runs and it drains off the side of that one house. Yeah, and here you can see the gutter. And so, yeah, it just gets incorporated into the design in a way that looks good. I guess another note is with gutter systems is in certain cases we'll do rainwater collection or whatever you case or whatever you want. Are there minimum and maximum modular unit dimensions? And so basically we like to build in two sort of widths. Like our favorites are 14.5 wide and 16 feet. And 14.5 is a good number because that allows you to ship it down the road with not as many trucks. So I guess like this is a 14.5, two of them. When you get into the 16, foot wide units, which would be something like this Sunlight, you need a lot more trucks. Well, actually, this one's done at 14.5, but on our site, you'll find ones that are 16 wide. And the deal is that the wider it gets, the more pilot vehicles you require. So it just costs more money. Additionally, there are like, restraints about what time of day a really big and wide unit can go down the road. But at 14.5, it can pretty much go down anytime. As far as length goes, the longest we build is 62 feet. And that's just because of the truck's length and the factories and all of that.
And sorry, I see another question there about width. 16.16 is typically the widest, and 6.2, 62 feet long is typically the widest length. I see one here about 16 feet Sunlight model, custom build. 16 is the width, not the length.
16 feet wide, 62 feet long. That's right. So yeah, I guess somebody's got a question about here. Is it possible to have ducting for a heat pump? Yeah, absolutely. We do it all the time. We put ducting in the floor. We do forced air system. with a heat pump outside. In fact, the house that's right behind Keeley, that's the system we use in the house. Actually, all three of these houses, we use the forced air system with a heat pump. Two of the houses, the one that's behind me and the one that's there with Keeley, those are both step 5. You can, filtering system. Every house we build has a HRV, and you can have a HEPA filter or the filter that comes with it. So it's your choice. Like if you want to get crazy on the filtration, there are actually quite a few options. Do you think it could be designed for wheelchair access? Absolutely. So there are design standards if we're looking to make everything wheelchair friendly, and that would include doors, all the millwork, so you can get underneath them. We've had some experience with that.
Yeah, curbless showers, things like that.
Yeah. Somebody asked, what does the cost displayed on the website include? Well, essentially, like this is the beginning of the story. So you have to click through and choose your options. If you go with boiling envelope 1, you're getting, that. And if you want the enhanced one, it's more money. Obviously, the more things you choose, the more it costs. At the end of the building price, you will get a total price for the house.
Sorry, not only total price, but it's broken out in line items. So you'll get the base price for the model itself, any selections or upgrades you made, transportation, site work, craning. It gives all those things in individual line items, so you can not only see the total, but how you've allocated or how you've arrived at that price.
Yeah, actually, while everyone's on the phone here, or if you make it to the end of the building price, you can email it to yourself and you would receive something like this. It shows you the model you chose, how much that was, how much your upgrades cost, the shipping estimate.
Uh-oh, did you get freeze there?
I think I'm overloading my computer, but anyway, it displays everything that you've selected. So you basically get your own catalog, and it talks about.
And this is definitely the most powerful tool. Again, we talked about tools. The building price is definitely the most powerful tool to go through, see the design options, see the selection options, and then get a baseline for that cost. There really isn't much else out there like that, and so it's definitely something that we stress to people who might want to work with us to investigate that.
Right. Someone has asked, can we lower light switches and so forth? Yes, as long as it's within the parameters of the building code, we can do that. Someone else is asking, do you ship with all the, cabinets and fixtures installed? And the answer is yes. So like you can see this photo, this is the day this unit was shipped. All of the millwork is in there on the flooring, tile, fireplace, windows and doors, everything. And it's, lifted with a crane. So that's
part of the reason why the structure of the home is so sound, because not only is it going to be lived in, but it's going to be shipped down the highway and craned into place. So it's a very solid structure.
Yeah, somebody's asking for more completed photos of completed projects. Email us at info@Built Prefab. We have a lot of photos. Yes. Do you lose interior space by going to the high building envelope? Not a lot. The wall essentially goes around 7.5 inches thick to maybe 8.5, 9 inches. So, over the course of 14 feet, you lose a bit. And, like the only reason I mentioned it before is that doesn't sound like much, but I guess like if you're designing millwork or something that needs to fit in there, even windows and doors, those inches count. And so that's why we need to know what it is that you're going to do. Someone else has asked, can I install my own appliances? Yes, you can. There's a few things that have to get worked out, because even just to build millwork, you need to install the,
I think he's frozen again there.
Is the millwork guy issues, it gets worked out. Additionally, the hood fan needs to get installed when the cabinets are getting installed. So if you kind of have all this stuff and you're like, I'm going to put it in when I get it, it's sort of in your hands if it's exact or not. Like obviously we're going to work with you, but it's a lot easier if it's happening where they're installing everything.
James, you cut out a little there, but just to reiterate, I think we were saying there's we don't build to lock up. There are certain items we would pull out and allow you to supply yourself, but there's a line in the sand, and where that is TBD.
Right. Build and price tool is very helpful, somebody says, so I say thank you. If we require changes from the original build and price, does that count as a second design iteration? Or honestly, I'm not sure. It's just ask us. We'll talk about it. I'm not exactly sure what you're asking, but probably not. We're going to work with you to make sure the design is what you want, and you know, as long as we sort of are on the same page at the beginning. What we like to do is really get a better understanding of what it is you want to do, and then we just take this thing in bite-sized steps along the way instead of trying to like attack it all at once. And that way, you know, if we're like, okay, this is how we want the floor plan, well, that's good, because everything flows from there. And then we can do the millwork and on and on and on. And I don't think we necessarily call those like, you know, iterations. But if somebody goes back and forth on the floor plan, you know, too many times, then that's when it sort of is like, well, did we really understand what it was you wanted? Because, yeah.
Or it's often sometimes it becomes a client is just thinking through these things in real time. And that's really not what modular's set up for. It's very front loaded for due diligence and design and preparation, because once you hit the go button to start building, it goes so much quicker than site building. You don't have the luxury, I guess, of figuring it out in real time. It's all got to be done beforehand, before we're ready to finish design or start production or whatever it might be.
Yeah. So like I said, when we go through the process, we sort of have a system, and we're not going to go to the next step until the first step is done. And it seems to, you know, give us the right amount of time to consider each area. So hopefully that answered your question, Paul, but we'll figure it out. With custom and semi-custom projects, do you do the design, or were architects and other designers involved? Well, I would say 90% of the time, 95% of the time, we do the design in-house. And that's just for a variety of reasons, but it's mostly because we do this every day. And so we have worked with architects in the past. We don't typically work with, like, if somebody's just a designer, and we haven't done that. But again, there's nothing like the pain you feel when you do something wrong in a design and then you have to own it. And that's one of the, and if there's an architect on the phone, maybe you've owned it, but we often feel that as the builder, we'll end up feeling the pain of design, you know, issues, and it can be very difficult. And it's not to say we won't collaborate, but we can. So with your, with how much time to completion is left after modules are lifted in place? So that's a great question, because it's, you know, it's project dependent to some degree. Like, so this project here, it actually took many, you know, 6 months or a little bit more than that, or, you know, actually realistically 9 months to get done, because of the fact that there was so much site construction. So if you know, this is what we would call a custom design. And if you're looking at it, there's only 2 modules here and a third one there. But, you know, the rest of this 3-car garage, big, huge deck, you know, roof overhang, all of that construction, you know, there's like, we'd love to have a solution to improve the speed of site construction. But once, you know, you move all that out there, then it takes a long time. Whereas this house here, which was relatively straightforward, it's just 2 modules, and he had a couple of things. It was literally like 4 weeks from the time it got delivered till when the guy was in the house. So it really can just depend on how much is there.
And again, just to reiterate, this is the design webinar. Like, this all stems with the design. You've made your bed on how long it's going to take on site once you've done the design. So we really, even when we're doing a custom design, we try and mutually agree on various custom design components to make sure that we can execute how we want to execute, which means typically not taking 8 months from crane day to occupancy.
Yeah. Can we see the appliances in person? They look high end. Well, yes. Yeah, you can see them in person. Like, for instance, typically we're utilizing it's called Frigidaire Professional. And they literally have these on display at Best Buy. And the way I would put them is they they're not the most expensive appliances. Like they're not in the category of a Wolf, you know,
Melee.
Cafe, Miele, whatever. But they're also not the Frigidaire Gallery, but they give you that look of a more high-end appliance, and that's why we use them. We like them a lot. So yeah, I mean, if you want to go see the appliances, we could probably point you in the right place. And then one other person has asked, can I use the building price to get a general idea of cost, even if my floor plan is not exact? And I think, yes, that's exactly what it's for. So either you're looking to build that exact house, or you're looking to utilize it to get a sense at least of how much it might cost to build something that looks like what you're looking to do. So yeah, that's the last question. And I guess again, we're out of time, but I just appreciate it so much that you've taken time out of your day to sit here and watch this. And obviously, your questions are extremely important because they add context to what we're doing. You know, to sort of finalize it, just to remember, like we do 3D design. So your house is going to be modeled in a 3D way. You're going to get to take a look at it before it's ever built, get it all organized. And then just like Ian said, we like to have it organized so that when you say go, we're going. We're not figuring out, we're going. Whereas when you build a house on site, I think a lot of us, you say go, and now you start figuring out. So it's just not the way we go about it. So if you'd like to talk to us about, you know, your design, or you have questions from today's webinar, please feel free to email us at info@builtprefab.com. And we'll put this webinar up on YouTube in the next couple of days. So again, you know, thank you so much for attending, and we'll talk to you soon.